Welcome back to Boilers and Beyond. I'm Jordan Jones. Folks, we have reached the busiest part of the calendar for Purdue sports. We still have football, 3 games to go as they head to Illinois this weekend, and basketball season has officially tipped off with Matt Painter's team getting off to a nice 1-0 start after a dominant win over Milwaukee on Tuesday night to get the season started. That means we have plenty to talk about here on the show today. We will preview the battle for the Purdue Cannon as Purdue prepares to take on a ranked Illinois team, and we will talk a little bit about basketball. Don't want to make too many judgments at this point. We're just one game in against a poor opponent, but some thoughts from Purdue's season opening win. Looking forward to this one. These few weeks are hectic. They're busy, but they're a lot of fun as well. If you don't already, follow the show on Twitter at Boilers Beyond. Especially this time of year, I can't tweet from Ross-Ade Stadium. The signal is not good enough, but I can tweet from Mackey Arena. So I have thoughts from every Purdue basketball game on there as it's going on, and then every away football game, we'll have plenty of thoughts on Saturday about whatever's going on over in Champaign. So come join the conversation on Twitter at Boilers Beyond and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Again, this is busy time of year. We're at you 2 episodes per week through the Old Oak and Bucket game, and then from there, still deciding how I want to approach basketball only season, but we will have plenty of basketball content at least once a week for you here. Awesome time of year, so be sure to subscribe. But yes, getting into football, it's no secret. I absolutely love college football, and this season has just flown by. I cannot believe it is already November 9th as I record this. Purdue only has 3 games left in the regular season. It has absolutely flown by, but we are here for the battle for the Purdue Cannon, a series where Purdue's had some success in recent years. You look at the Jeff Brom era, Purdue is 4-1 against Illinois. You'll remember that one loss came in the pouring rain back in 2019. Just a miserable day at Ross-Ade Stadium for everyone involved. But past that, Jeff Brom's been good. Big wins in 17 and 18, tighter wins in 20 and 21, but wins nonetheless. And in general, Purdue has won 13 of the last 17 against Illinois. That dates back to 2003, I believe. Purdue's done well in this series. Purdue's won 5 games in a row at Memorial Stadium. The last time Purdue lost over there was 2010. So yes, Daryl Hazel went 2-0 in Champaign. Now he went 0-2 against the Illini in West Lafayette, but who could ever forget that 2016 game? Daryl Hazel icing the kicker like a master. Incredible stuff. I think that extended his tenure at Purdue by 1 week. But nonetheless, this is a noon Eastern kickoff on ESPN2 and a game that has plenty of meaning. Purdue mathematically is still alive in the Big Ten West race. They would not be if they lose on Saturday. Meanwhile, Illinois has a 1-game lead in the Big Ten West. They are one of the better stories in college football this season if you're looking at it from an objective perspective. Year 2 for Brett Bielema, and they're sitting at 7-2, 4-2 in the Big Ten, and it's odd looking at who they've lost to. They lost to Michigan State last weekend in a very surprising outcome. I didn't have eyes on that game until it was a little bit too late. And not a good day for the Fighting Illini. And they also lost back in September to Indiana, a game that had a controversial touchdown taken off the board, but a game that, again, Illinois should have won. They really are in a spot where they could be 8-1. They could be 9-0. I mean, this Illinois has looked good at this point. And what's really interesting is when you think of Brett Bielema, you think of, an I formation or something like that with a fullback even split off to the side and a power running game. They still like that power running game, but they do it in a much more modern way. They utilize the power run game heavy out of the shotgun to Chase Brown, and they'll do it under center as well. Make no doubt about it, but they're not that slow, methodical pace that Wisconsin and Iowa are. They're a little more willing to go up tempo. They will run some RPO concept. They like the short passing game. They're not an air it out downfield, but they do it getting it out to quicker receivers. Isaiah Williams, a guy there who they like to get the ball out to. It's a very interesting offense, but it's been a very good complement to their very good defense. It's been a really nice blend that really Illinois has had great success with. You look at their season, and outside of their 2 losses, they've had some really impressive wins. They went up to Madison and absolutely drilled Wisconsin. That game wasn't close. They handled Minnesota pretty easily. They blew Nebraska out on the road. Granted, Casey Thompson got hurt. They survived a little 9-6 game against Iowa. Illinois has been convincing in what they've done to this point. Now, they haven't played some murderer's row of a schedule. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that they have, but you can only play who's on that schedule, and they've done a very nice job of it. They are led by arguably the most productive running back in the nation, Chase Brown. He is very, very good. He is, I believe, second in the nation in rushing yards per game, almost averages 150. He's gone over 100 in all 9 of Illinois' games to this point, and he averages 28 carries per game. That's some incredible volume right there. Again, they still like to run the ball, and Chase Brown is the guy who's going to get the bulk of the carries for them. They started the season with a nice little 1-2 combo with Brown and Josh McCray, who was knocked out for the season in their season opener against Wyoming. Since then, it's been Brown, and more Brown, and he's produced for him. He has been very good. Purdue's going to have their hands full stopping him. And when they employ some RPO concept, they brought in Syracuse transfer Tommy DeVito at quarterback, which was an interesting addition at the time because DeVito didn't exactly knock it out of the park at Syracuse. But you look at what he's done this year, he's been rock solid, completing 71% of his passes, 14 touchdowns to 2 picks. What more can you ask for? Averaging 209 yards per game. So, again, it's not an offense that's going to throw it downfield a ton. But what you've seen from Purdue the last 2 weeks, you don't have to throw it down the field. If you get guys open underneath, they've had room to run recently. So Purdue's going to have their hands full with a quarterback who is very good at getting the ball out to his open receivers. And they have a lead receiver, clear-cut number 1 in Isaiah Williams, more than double the receptions of anyone on the team. He's caught 5 of DeVito's 14 touchdown passes, and he's a speed guy. If that name sounds familiar to you, it's because he played some quarterback in Purdue's 2020 win over Illinois. You'll remember Illinois had some COVID going on. They had a starting quarterback out. Isaiah Williams played some. They had another quarterback play. Bizarre game over in Champaign that one was when David Bell bailed Purdue out a little bit. But this is an offense that's not going to wow you. Again, it's very similar in terms of ideology and mindset to what Purdue has played the last 2 weeks, but schematically, not quite the same. Purdue is going to have to stop the run, and they're going to have to make Tommy DeVito put the ball in the air down the field and see what they can do. On the other side of the ball, Illinois has been flat out dominant. They have one of the best defenses in the nation statistically. They're holding opponents to 150 yards through the air and less than 80 on the ground. Less than 230 yards per game of offense. Just about 10 points. Whew. That's impressive. This is a very good Illinois defense. It is physical. It is tough. They get to the ball well, especially when you try to stay inside the tackles. They've got a couple of real big bodies, real productive bodies on that defensive line. A couple guys with double-digit tackles for loss. Their linebackers work downhill very well. They clog those holes. And then when you get to that third level, they're effective tacklers. It's really hard to bust big plays on this defense, and that's why you see them be so effective and them really stifle opponents. I think if you're Purdue, you look at this and certainly need to find a way to work the outsides. You have to do a better job there than you did last week. Purdue had a miserable day trying to throw the ball outside, but the wind didn't help. Purdue was able to run the ball okay against Iowa and okay against Wisconsin. This is going to be another similar type of defense where Purdue has to run the ball. When you look at Purdue trying to run the ball, they're going to be without King Doru again this week. He's out with an injury, didn't play last week either. Dylan Downing returned last week, however, so he'll be in the lineup joining Maccabee. Again, Maccabee, clear-cut number one at running back at this point. Downing will get some of those carries. Who knows what's going to happen at that, with any other carries. I've always heard Tyrone Tracy was going to play this role. We haven't seen it yet. Kobe Lewis appears to be a non-factor, so I'm going to guess with Doru out, it's just going to be Maccabee and Downing at running back. Brock Thompson, look, until he plays, I'm guessing he's out. He gets asked about all the time, but I'll guess he's out. We did learn in Brahms' Monday press conference that Jack Ansel is a little bit nicked up. I really don't know how, but he is. We saw Brendan Cropsey take the last punt in the blowout loss against Iowa. Is there a punter controversy? Who knows? We'll see what goes on there. Per goldenblack.com's Tom Dienhart, it sounds like Chris Jefferson is done for good, done with the Purdue team at least, so we won't be seeing him. And then it doesn't sound like Elijah Canyon will be back. Brahm was asked about that during his Monday presser. Didn't really elaborate much, but all we saw from Canyon was the first half of the Penn State game, and we have not seen him since because of a knee injury. Looking at some keys here, Purdue is a 6.5-point dog. Last I saw, this total is in the mid-40s, I think around 44. Going to be a chilly one. It's going to be in the upper 30s, low 40s over in Champaign, so bundle up if you're heading over. I had thought about it, but not going to be doing that. Going to enjoy it from the couch on Saturday. Look, number one, Purdue has to play with some energy and enthusiasm. This is something that, I don't know if there's any credence to it, but this hasn't looked like a team that wants to compete. You look at what we saw last week. That was a non-competitive effort. I know Iowa only scored once in the second half. I know the offense didn't try to only put up 3 points, but it was a non-competitive effort. And what you saw late in that Wisconsin game, even late in that first half, not great. Purdue needs to come out and compete. Purdue needs to come out and show that they're the hungrier team in this game. That's something that Purdue has missed at times over the past couple years in games where they've struggled. And I think that's something you really need to see on Saturday to make you feel good about where this team is, having lost 2 straight games in not so clean fashion. Number 2, Purdue's got to force some turnovers. We didn't see it against Wisconsin. We didn't see it against Iowa. Purdue has to do a better job of forcing turnovers. They have to make plays. And I know it's difficult because this pass rush hasn't been all that good. And the secondary, again, isn't all that good either. Find a way to make a play. Punch a ball out. Get a hand up on a pass and tip it and see what happens. Purdue's got to be aggressive on defense, and I think it's going to take a big defensive play or two to win this game. Kind of like when Purdue pulled the upset up at Minnesota earlier this year. It got a couple of key interceptions. If they can do that again this weekend, I think that really helps them increase their chances of pulling it off. And then number 3, it's Aiden O'Connell. This isn't the season that folks had in mind. Now, I was on the record very early of saying that the expectations for him were too high, that one of the best quarterbacks in America talk was quite premature. Unfortunately, I've been proven right on that. 15 touchdowns to 10 picks. Completion percentage is down quite a bit. Not ideal. However, we know what Aiden O'Connell's capable of. We know that, last year in November, he played at a really, really high level. There's still time to get back to that high level this season. It starts on Saturday. Purdue is going to need a big day from number 16 if they want to keep the cannon and take it back east with them. Looking at a prediction here, I was a bit torn here. Logic tells you there's no way. This Purdue team hasn't been all that competitive in the last 2 games. Illinois looks good. And then I saw a tweet from Kyle Charters and heard the same thing from Alan Karpik, where they mentioned, Purdue does always seem to fight back. And they always seem to figure things out in a game that you don't necessarily expect them to. Look at what the thoughts were going into Minnesota earlier this year. Look at where Purdue was after that Minnesota loss last year when they went to Iowa and pulled off an upset. Purdue tends to figure things out. I don't know that they will. Things don't feel right about this team right now. I'm going to go with 28-17 Illinois. I just question Purdue's offense scoring enough, and with what we've seen from Purdue's defense and their tackling ability, boy, I don't know. This feels like one where Purdue can linger around, but for them to pull it off, it's going to take some turnovers, and it's going to take a big day from number 16. Just with what we've seen lately, I have to go with Illinois. We will see what happens on Saturday. Again, going to be an interesting one, and I think it's going to be one that really goes a long way in determining whether fans entirely tune out and just tune into basketball, or if there is still a pulse heading into Northwestern and Indiana. Speaking of basketball, as I said in the open, Purdue got started on Tuesday night, last night as I record this on Wednesday, 84-53 win over Milwaukee. I will preface all of this with saying Milwaukee looked the part of a 300-plus KenPom team. It was bizarre that they played the Milwaukee College of Engineering the night before. They looked really bad. They didn't look good at all. I was not impressed with what I saw, but Purdue did what they needed to do. They beat up on a bad team. It's always good when you cover the spread. I know that, for a while it used to be kind of taboo to say, but Purdue covered a pretty big number. That's a positive. Just a few thoughts here. Again, you don't want to make these big takeaways and these big judgments based off of the first game, especially against an opponent that's so inferior. Purdue's got something in these freshman guards. I had seen Braden Smith quite a bit in high school. I absolutely loved him, absolutely loved the way he played. And what you saw is a player with a competitive streak to him that Purdue hasn't had in a while. Something that Purdue was severely lacking last season, and even going back to the season before that a little bit. He is someone who raises the level of everyone around him because of his energy, because of his desire to win. And he really does some things with the basketball that Purdue hasn't seen in some time. They haven't had that true of a point guard since Lewis Jackson. And what Braden Smith can do is just so special. There are going to be bumps in the road here. Make no mistake about it. This is still a smaller, true freshman point guard going through his first season of, high-level college basketball. There are going to be bad turnovers at times. You even saw some of that on Tuesday. There are going to be poor decisions. But at the end of the day, some of the things he can do, I like a 7-steal performance to set a Purdue freshman record. He just plays with such a high motor that Purdue fans are going to absolutely love him. The rest of the Big Ten is not. His freshman backcourt mate, Fletcher Lawyer, look, the guy's just a flamethrower. He can absolutely shoot the lights out. That's about all you need to say at this point. Getting 12 three-point attempts is pretty crazy, but they were open. Again, someone who there will be an adjustment period, especially on the defensive end. But, man, that shooting ability, he's going to go down as one of the better shooters that Purdue has seen. There have been some really good ones, but he already looks like one of the best ones Purdue's had. His stroke is just so pure. Everything about his shot is great. I think he's going to be incredibly valuable. Purdue's got something in those two. Not Zach Edey's best game, but he still pulled down 17 rebounds, blocked 6 shots, and he looked better on defense, I thought. Again, not a great opponent, but he looked good. Can't say enough about Brandon Newman. 16 points, 6 of 12 from the field. Getting him going early and getting him confidence is going to be massively important for this team. It was clear that at times last year he struggled with it, and then he, was removed from the rotation because he wasn't producing. This year, Purdue really can't afford for him to not produce. He needs to be a key cog for this team. Really nice start for him. And you would like to get David Jenkins Jr. back sooner rather than later. He missed the opener, had one heck of a black eye. You want him back for Marquette. If he's back Friday for Austin Peay or not, I don't know. You should take care of business against Austin Peay on Friday. And then that would really make that game against Marquette next week your first big test of the year. Purdue is going to be a fun team to watch grow this year. What you saw on the floor Tuesday night is going to be a shell of what Purdue is when they go off to the Big Ten tournament in March. What goes on in between there? I think there are going to be some really good moments. There's going to be a big win or two in there that you didn't see coming. There's going to be a letdown loss or two in there. If I knew where it would come, I'd make a lot of money, but there are going to be letdowns at some point. It's going to be the ebb and flow of a young team. When you look at this group, Caleb First is going to be playing big minutes, more than he played last year. Trey Kaufman-Renn, Brian Waddell coming off red shirts. Fletcher Lawyer, Braden Smith, true freshman. Ethan Morton, big minutes for the first time. So you have a lot of guys adjusting to getting big minutes. I think as a whole, though, this team plays with an energy and with a competitive streak that Purdue fans are really going to enjoy. I think it's going to be a fun season. I'm excited to see where it goes. We'll see what they do Friday against Austin Peay. I can't say I know much about the Austin Peay Governors, but, Purdue will be big favorites. If they can take care of business and look good doing it, then I think you feel pretty good about yourselves ahead of a big 5-game stretch. Purdue takes on Marquette. Then they have pretty much a week off until 9 days off before they play West Virginia out in the PK 85. They'll have 3 games there and then get right turned around to Florida State. That's a tough 5-game stretch. So Purdue will learn a lot there, but we'll see what happens before then. Again, it's going to be a fun team. The podcast might be called Braden Smith and Beyond by February. We'll see. Telling you, the guy is special. So much fun watching him. But that's all I have for you today. Thanks for joining me. Thank you for spending your time with me. We will be back here Sunday. I'll have some thoughts from the battle for the Purdue Cannon. I will have thoughts from Purdue against Austin Peay. And we'll look a little bit at Purdue against Marquette. Follow the show on Twitter at Boilers Beyond. Join the conversation there and subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes. Enjoy the games, guys. Have a good weekend. Safe travels to those of you going to Champaign or coming to West Lafayette on Friday. Y'all take care.